Greetings, dear ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to say a few words about the recent phone call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. I wasn't present during that dialogue, and I don't have any insider's information. And by the way, those who have insider's information will never share it with you. And those who claim that they have insider's information are mostly lying to you. But you know that as well, I think. And although I wasn't present during that dialogue, I can take a wild guess and guess what was the topic. One of the major topics was the war in Ukraine and how to stop it. And one more thing, by the way. I don't know what's going on inside the skull of Donald Trump or Vladimir Putin. I have no means to scan their brains, but nevertheless. One more thing. Actually, recording this video in English is a pure waste of time, and I understand that. You know why? Because I know pretty well that you do not care what I'm going to tell you. First, you think that you are smarter than everybody else and you know everything yourself. Second thing, you trust and religiously believe in the mainstream media, in New York Times, in CBC, and you name it. For some reasons, though, you don't understand that all those mainstream media, which were decent and reliable sources of information decades ago, are now bought by some destructive forces, and they work for those destructive forces which, to put it mildly, don't want you to enjoy good life. And unfortunately, most of you don't, and that's a shame. But okay, let's leave it aside. After this phone call, which nobody had a chance to listen to, both mainstream media and blogs and social networks exploded with hysteria. People are yelling, screaming, squeaking, sobbing about Donald Trump being in one bed with Russia's Putin. What a nonsense. What a nonsense. And by the way, knowing that recording this video is a waste of time, I still decided to record it in my capacity of a former teacher and a former university professor. I have no moral right to keep my mouth shut. So, speaking about Ukraine and Donald Trump, let me remind you about something which maybe some of you forgot. Donald Trump is a U.S. president, American president. He is not the president of Ukraine or France or Papua New Guinea or Zimbabwe. He is American president. And he is supposed to care first and foremost about American interests and about the interests of American people who voted for him and who elected him. It was not you who elected him. It wasn't me who elected him. He was elected by the American people. And only American people can demand something from him. Not Europe, not Ukraine, not, I don't know, Zimbabwe or whatever. America can help. It used to help other countries and other nations and at its own will when they were in trouble. America got involved in the First World War. America was helping starving Russia in the past. America got involved in World War II, etc., etc. And one can be thankful for such involvement if someone else helps you, but one cannot demand that. One has absolutely no right to demand such help. Not to mention that where is Ukraine and where are the United States? Well, strategically, of course, if Russia manages to devour Ukraine, it will be bad not only for Europe, but for the rest of the world, including the United States. But tactically, Ukraine is too far away from the States to think about it right now. Not to mention that America itself is in a big trouble after years and years of the destructive rule of Clinton, Obama, Biden, Harris gang. Trump and his team are doing their best right now, or I hope so that they're doing their best, to destroy the kleptocratic system that has been formed in the United States, and unfortunately not only there. Do you know what kleptocracy is? Well, check the internet if you don't. Or maybe if you don't have internet, go to the library and open any dictionary. Okay, I will tell you. It means the power of thieves. Okay? So America first for Donald Trump and his team. And if America is weak, like it is right now, it cannot help anyone. It first needs to stabilize. Second thing, who should care more about Ukraine than America? It's definitely Europe. Some European nations, including but not limited to Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, they understand that. Others pretend that they do not understand that for a very simple reason. Most of West and Central European countries are ruled by corrupt elites, the so-called elites, that put their nations into a self-destructive mode. We are not going to go into the details, and I cannot actually, because to discuss such things we need to have freedom of speech, and we don't have it, as you probably know. So we can leave those details aside. But generally speaking, it's Europe who should understand that if Russia absorbs Ukraine again, as it already happened twice in history, it will become way more dangerous for its European neighbors. So it's Europe who is supposed to do everything it can to help the poor Ukraine. Ukraine is also in a very bad situation. Ukraine is ruled by corrupt, kleptocratic elite. And it's filled, just like Western Europe, with the Russian agents, useful idiots, and agents of influence. With such a massive betrayal, it's hard to imagine how Ukrainian people managed still to protect at least part of their territory. Yes, they lost certain territories, about 20-25% of Ukraine, but they managed to keep at least 75% of it. Being unarmed by their own government, by the way, being betrayed, and dealing with an overwhelming enemy. Russia is also a weak country, but Ukraine is weaker. Much weaker. So, getting back to the phone call which we started talking about. According to mainstream media, Reuters, New York Times, etc., Trump mentioned to Putin that he would love to see Russia as number 8 in G7. Quite honestly, I was disgusted with that. What has Russia to do with G7, an association of the most developed democratic nations? Is Russia so well developed? Is it a democracy? No. I also didn't like to hear what Donald Trump mentioned, as well as the members of his team, that there is no way Ukraine can insist on the borders of 1991. Well, of course, those borders are the only fair borders, according to the international law. However, Ukraine lost considerable chunks of territory, and Ukraine is not in the shape of being able to reconquer them back right now. I don't want to say that it's impossible to reconquer them in the future. No, it is possible. But at this moment, it's definitely not. And it's also important to stop mass slaughter of the best Ukrainian men and women who are dying every single day at the front line. Donald Trump is a businessman, smart and cunning like a fox. He knows that it's a very good method to say good things to your opponents. And he always does it. He always did while doing business with different parties. He also understands that Putin is crazy sociopath. And he's talking to him like a psychiatrist is talking to a dangerous psychiatric patient. Yes, you're a good man. Calm down, calm down. Let's sit down and talk, etc., etc. But words are just words. Let's judge the tree by its fruit, and let's judge Donald Trump's American administration by their actions. Actions are way more important than words. For example, the ex-so-called president of the United States, Joe Biden, called Putin a murderer. Yes, Putin is a murderer. And yes, he called him names. And so what? What did he do for Ukraine? He even blocked Lend-Lease for Ukraine, as you probably know that. Because his administration wanted Ukraine to be taken over by Russia. Trump's administration hopefully wants something else. So let's try to be less emotional. Let's not trust the liars. And think critically. That's all I would like to advise. If you don't like my advice, I'm sorry. Actually, who am I to destroy your illusions and your illusory bubble? But if you find it useful, this little video, thank you very much. I'm not expecting you to put like under it because you are afraid of losing your jobs, and not only jobs. I understand you. And, well, I'm not in a position to expect anything else. Anyway, I talked already much longer than I planned. All the best. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.